In real life, I'm an orthodontist, and whenever I went to lectures and courses and whatnot, I always got annoyed by people that would be preaching, this is the way to do this. This is the way to treat these cases. And my feeling always was that there's probably one correct diagnosis to a case, but there's probably dozens of different ways of treating it. So kind of carry that over to wood turning. What I show you is just not right or wrong or better or worse. There's probably everybody here would have a different way, use different tools. I just show you what I do, and if anybody has any suggestions, that's fine. But don't by any means think that my way is the only way. So. Started about 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah, I haven't gotten very far in. But anyhow, so to do a plate like that, you just start out with some plain 4x4 wood. I think that preparation is important. If you want everything to come out right, you have to be careful cutting this. So these blanks are exactly 8 inches on a side. When you locate the center, you want to be careful. You've got to get pretty close, otherwise, as you're turning, the corners are not going to come out even. Even if you're very careful, there's going to be a little bit of variation. At least that's been my experience. It's really tough to get everything exactly the same thickness. So what I do, and some of the stuff seems kind of backwards. So the first step is going to be to cut a tenon in what's going to be the inside of the plate. So I'm just gonna more or less use a jam chuck, and I just use a little bit of the material you use for shelf lining to kind of pad that, and have this. And that's really all you need. And I am not really used to this lathe, so bear with me while I figure out how to make it do what I want. And also, this chuck is not the one I thought I'd be using. So like that ought to work. So the first thing, I'm just going to cut a tenon here. We just need enough space to get the jaws of the chuck in there. You can probably go a little faster than that. The parting tool. Doesn't really make any difference how much how much extra material you remove, so as long as there's enough to get draws. And then I've got a little homemade tool somewhere just for doing tenons. It was just a sort of a junk tool that I reground, and it comes in kind of handy for getting a nice sharp corner at the base of the tenon. So that's okay. That's where we start. And oh, hope I didn't make that tenon too small. If I did, well, we can all go home early. Yeah, okay, got it. Okay. So at this point, we're done with the tailstock. I don't need that anymore. Good. Come on. Okay. So
John, why don't you take that tailstock out? Where you get turn his elbow. Please go ahead.
that's kind
There you go.
of out of the way.
Bigger elbow.
Well, my arm's not that long. Yeah. Okay, so this will be the bottom of the plate, and we'll go ahead and just flatten that. You got to watch those corners. As soon as I say that, I'll probably stick my hand in. Tool rest is kind of short. So. So. Once you get past here, you're putting quite a bit of air. Yeah. And I'm getting a lot of stuff in my face. So. You can see it starting to take some shape. Okay. So on at the bottom of the piece, I'm gonna do a mortise. So we'll mark that. Yeah. Wouldn't normally make it that big, the chuck I use is a bit smaller, but whatever. So. And then I'd turn a little base. Again, the proportions I'm doing here because of the chuck are a little different. Same idea. So at this point, I would check and make sure that the base is going to sit flat. Just check it with a straight edge. Pretty close. That up a little bit. So. Get the tool rest as close as I can. Feels like my tool is kind of hanging off the edge a lot. Okay. So. when you do this, you have to stop fairly often to check your progress. Now, this is what I was talking about before. I'm not sure why it's coming out this way, but you can see that the thickness here on these two corners is substantially different from these two. So this is going to be probably about where you want to stop at this point. And then you do the top, that'll even them out. But if I kept going, because I want this thickness to be less, then I'd blow it here. So
would that be, if it wasn't quite measured as you thought, what would it actually cause that? Who knows?
I guess. Yeah, I think there, I mean, there was a little cupping in the wood that might have accounted for it. And what I do on this is I would sand and finish this side before I turn it around, and I'm not going to sand it, but just to kind of show you, I like to do power sanding. You can only do a very limited amount here, where you're cutting air. That's not going to be a happening thing. It'll just destroy your sanding disc. So you have to do each corner. Hit it with the 120 here. 52 and that's that. So the sanding gets a little bit tedious on this project. Okay. You're home. No. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Okay. And really, you don't ever need to touch the edges, except when you're all done sanding and finishing on it is really all you need to do on there. Okay. Now, this side, I'm gonna do something a bit different. Probably a lot of you guys aren't gonna like. I know what's coming. For whatever reason, I do a little bit of the initial work with a carbide tool. It seems to work pretty well. Again, no right or wrong reason. So. Again, my approach would be to do the outer part. Leave wood in the center to support it. And do that last. I just wanted to kind of do some initial roughing out. So, let's see. Okay.
What speed are you turning that at?
It didn't work so well. Wow. Or we all stand back. That always happened in a demonstration. So first.
Yes, if you know what speed they're going in.
I don't know. I
This-
mean, there's.
This one way does not have a speed indicator as such. At least not a digital one.
No, I think they're all. Oh, a wood turn.
In the camera,
Yeah.
yeah, that was it, thank you.
There's no way to get this tool rest any closer to the wood, is there?
I don't know.
It's straight up.
Okay, we're getting there. Putting a lot of air. Okay, getting closer. You're doing this, you do need to stop the lathe pretty frequently to fix that. And this is.
There's some wood turners that when they have a lot of open space, they put like painter's tape or something on there to. For a visual on where the outer ring is, or am I just. Confusing out with some other. Right, you know? Painter's tape on wood too. On the end, so you can see where the end of it is versus. I mean, at the high point is the outer limit of the blank, right?
Well, no, I'm not sure.
Disregard, I'll look
Take
at
a look at the corners, so you can see where.
Oh,
the
okay.
corners.
On the corner.
You can also use a Sharpie on your tool rest if you keep it in one place, if it's a large enough one.
Put a mark on your tool rest.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
if it's a large enough one, so you don't have to move it.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's just about the. Okay, so getting pretty close.
yeah, if you take that tool rest, the banjo, pull it all the way towards you, and then tilt the tool rest into it. You just kind of work, you're gonna have
Yeah,
maybe a little less. tool
yeah,
rest.
there's just. Yeah, that would help. Okay. 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 So once you've got the corners where you want them, then you can use a push cut and just finish up. All right, so that's getting close. Then I would probably use the scraper just to smooth that up a little bit. Oh my God. So,
Okay,
close,
nice.
probably not an all-time work of precision, but pretty close.
Very good. All the ideas.
Yeah, you have to sand the same way, you know, you can sand the inside using while it's turning, but you have to
Right.
sand the corners.
And its edges.
Yeah, the edges. When you when you prepare the blank, you pretty much need to do that on a table saw to get a nice smooth cut, so you don't really have to mess with the edges much at all. But you can do your sanding all the way out almost to the corners with the lathe turning. But, and there's definitely some tool marks. Sanding is a little bit tedious.
And then how did you finish it? Kind of layers did you put on it?
I usually would sand to 320 and then use a sanding sealer. I just use shellac, thinned a little bit with DNA, and then sand to 400, another coat of 2 coats of sanding sealer, and then I use a wipe on like Danish oil.
Can you use food on there? Use Danish oil?
You can use it, food on anything after it's fully cured. Yeah. I don't know for sure what the technically what the time is. I mean, after a few days or a week, yeah, that's fine. Yep. So that's all I got.
And when you
All
get
right.
to that ghost area, that's like so crazy to watch it when there's nothing there. And then you get
Yeah.
there, there's nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, I've never worked on this lathe before, but I usually get the tool rest just right up close at. Thanks for the suggestion, Bill, but yeah, you gotta have that tool supported. It just wants to vibrate a lot.
Actually, I've seen that same problem from a number of demonstrators on this lathe.
Yeah,
I would suggest the club investigate getting a new tool rest,
one that's,
yes,
yeah,
and the club should just buy one and get it on here.
Yeah.
Because it's been a common problem.
yeah,
I'd
Yeah.
sec-
that's a little bit of a challenge.
Somebody was trying to speak.
Oh, I said I'd second that.
Yeah. Okay,
What speed were you turning at?
I don't know. I mean, there's no readout on the, it's, yeah,
You can read it off this aisle.
a number 4. I don't know what that is.
Well, it was under 1,000. It's towards 4, it's under 1,000.
Yeah, so,
Could I show the club something about sanding?
Sure.
yeah, sure.
We'll put this back on. When you've got a piece of wood that has grain going this way. Or this way. Whatever, you wanna try to sand with the grain. If you're using the sander. You're going across the grain this way. It's gonna show all kinds of scratches. So when you sand, try to sand with this 1/3 of the sanding wheel following the grain. Okay, it's not as important as in a round piece, but it's very, very important on straight grain pieces that you're turning. In other words, you're gonna do this all the way here and do the same thing this way, following that grain. So you're only sanding on that 1/3. If you think of the thing going around, if you put it here, you're just making circles. But if you try to get that 1/3 of the sander, you're more or less sanding straight. You follow me, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting less lines. The lines won't show when you put a finish on if they're this way. But if you sand this way, those lines jump out at you.
Yeah, I do that. In my initial sanding, when I'm actually doing, getting tool marks out,
Yep,
I wouldn't necessarily follow the grain, but to finish up with each grit, yeah, I definitely want to put sand with the grain, yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
That's all. It's all yours again.
I'm out of here.
Johnny, do you start like at 60 and then 120 and then 220? How many different progressions